The morning had begun like any other for 27-year-old waitress Grace Turner, but she had no idea that before the sun would set over the small town of Cedar Falls, her entire world would shake in a way she never expected. It started with a moment that felt like an emotional punch. A billionaire customer walked out of the diner without leaving even a single dollar tip. For someone already drowning under overdue rent, medical bills for her younger brother, and double shifts that left her body aching, that empty space on the receipt felt heavier than the plate she carried. But then, just as she lifted the plate he had left behind, she saw a tiny folded note tucked underneath, one that would flip her reality and expose a truth that made her heartbeat stutter with disbelief. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and people who surprise you when you least expect it, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support means the world. Grace had been working at Willow Street Diner for nearly 6 years, a small brickfront place between a laundromat and a hardware shop on the outskirts of town. The United States had plenty of places like it, quiet, overlooked spots where small stories unfolded every day. Grace's life revolved around the diner's clinking plates, squeaking stools, and the constant hum of conversations that never included her struggles. After their parents passed away in a car accident 4 years earlier, she became responsible for her 17-year-old brother, Jace. His asthma treatments were expensive, and she often skipped meals to make sure he had what he needed. No matter how heavy life felt, Grace forced a smile for her customers. On this particular Thursday, the diner buzzed unusually early as the fall air blew cool and restless outside. Grace had just set down a plate of eggs and toast in front of a sharply dressed man who stood out like a diamond in a haystack. His silver cufflinks, tailored charcoal suit, and polished shoes didn't match the chipped tables and old jukebox. His name, according to the reservation made earlier that morning, was Mr. Adrian Cole, a billionaire entrepreneur whose business dealings often made the news. The staff whispered about him. Grace didn't. She had no time to be starstruck when bills were due. Throughout his breakfast, Adrian barely said a word, but he watched everything, the servers rushing, the cook yelling orders, the old couple sharing pancakes, the teenage boy studying in the corner. He studied Grace the longest, quietly observing the kindness she extended to everyone. She refilled cups without being asked, picked up a crying toddler's dropped spoon, and helped an elderly man carry his to-go bag out the door. She moved with exhaustion hidden behind determination. But when he finished eating and walked out, leaving a receipt with $0.00 in the tip line, something inside her sank like a stone dropped into deep water. She shouldn't have taken it personally, some people didn't tip. But she had hoped. She had needed it. And the fact that someone with so much wealth left nothing, it stung more than she wanted to admit. When she returned to clean the table, she reached for the plate and noticed the folded note neatly tucked underneath. Her hands trembled slightly as she opened it. The handwriting was elegant and firm. She expected a complaint. Instead, her eyes widened. Your kindness has been noticed more than you know. Sometimes the greatest gifts come wrapped in disappointment. Check the envelope at the register. AC. Confused but curious, Grace hurried toward the counter where envelopes for customer feedback or return cards were kept. Nestled between them was a sealed white envelope with her name written in gold ink. Her pulse thudded as she slipped it open. Inside was a letter and a single key, small, flat, silver, attached to a tag that read simply, Cedar Falls Apartments, Unit 203. Grace felt lightheaded. She unfolded the letter and read the words that blurred as tears filled her eyes. This key belongs to a fully paid 1-year lease for you and your brother. I once grew up with nothing. A waitress once helped me through the hardest time of my life when I couldn't afford a meal. She told me kindness given is kindness returned. Today, I return what was given to me. Go see the apartment after your shift. Grace pressed her hand to her mouth as emotion overwhelmed her. For months, she had been praying she wouldn't be evicted. She didn't even know how she'd pay next month's rent. And here, through a stranger she had believed had left her nothing, she had been given something she had stopped allowing herself to dream of, stability. When her shift ended, she took the bus across town, clutching the key like a fragile miracle. The apartment building wasn't glamorous, but it was modern, clean, and safe. When she reached Unit 203 and turned the key, her breath caught. The apartment was furnished. Not extravagantly, but thoughtfully. A sofa, a small dining table, 2 beds, a tidy kitchen stocked with groceries, and a note on the counter, short, simple, powerful. A fresh start should feel fresh. Take care of your brother. Your kindness is your wealth. Adrian. Grace sank onto the sofa as tears finally spilled freely. She thought about all the days she had pushed through exhaustion, the nights she had quietly cried in the bathroom so Jace wouldn't hear, the battles she fought alone while pretending everything was fine. And now here she sat, surrounded by proof that life could still surprise her, proof that unseen kindness sometimes circled back when one needed it most. When Jace arrived after school and stepped inside, his eyes lit up with joy and disbelief. Grace hugged him tightly, feeling their fears slipping off their shoulders like heavy coats finally removed. They laughed, they cried, and for the first time in years, they breathed without the tightness of worry. Meanwhile, Adrian Cole stood across the street, leaning quietly against his car. He didn't approach. He didn't need thanks. Sometimes the greatest acts of kindness happened without witnesses. He simply watched the siblings' happiness through the window, then drove away silently, carrying the memory of a waitress who reminded him of where he came from. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue bringing emotional stories to the world. Before the ending, please comment, kindness always returns. Grace and Jace began a new chapter that day, stronger, safer, and filled with hope, because a billionaire who left a $0 tip had actually given them something priceless, a future.